Sportsmen, welcome back to the Univsity. Let's take a look at the PDA position and my opponent making the adjustment of keeping my hips extended so that it's hard for me to really settle into that position. In the previous video, we talked about the eventuality of me being here and he brings that leg up inside. This time, what happens if the leg is turned outside? Similar point of departure insofar as I want him to commit a force, a direction. When I know he's committing a force to a direction, a specific direction, basic high school physics, I know that I can go perpendicular to that force and there won't be a lot of resistance. So if he's exerting a force straight out, a type of equilibrium right here almost, I'm pushing in, he's pushing out. If I can bring a force that runs across, I'm not going to meet any resistance. That leg is up, and that's for the sake of argument and for the sake of learning, it's up at an angle. Let's say up at about 45 degree angle as opposed to being turned all the way over. It's up at an angle. We can look at the mechanics of this situation. This hip is on the outside of his knee. So it's pretty academic. It's not hard for me to deal with this problem because really all I need to do is just turn my hip. And again, related to that high school physics that was so painful for a lot of us, simply feeling this force coming this way and taking my hip, which is going to rotate in and exert a force this way, it's easy to keep. There's no resistance. So here, I'm driving in, clear that hip. Now, if he turns it over a little bit more, okay, now I don't get the same benefit of the parry because I'm going to get hung up at his foot and at his ankle. So one of the things that I like to do here is, if I can come up and try to come down, depending on how high his leg is. Same principle, right? The force is being exerted this way. If I can exert a force this way, a lot of times I can beat that. So all I did, and this will very rarely work, but you can try it. All I did was just change the angle of my hip and my body so that I can get down over the top and get my hip in next to his hip where I've got some options. Higher my hip socket. Another thing that I will do sometimes is lift. I'll lean back and lift here. Try to catch that foot. Here, it's an analog to what we did when the leg is on the inside. I'm going to lift. Now it's hard for him to pull that down, but I can even probably momentarily step on the fence there and grab this. And now that it's here, this is not necessarily an easy thing to deal with if you're trying to take somebody down, but if he's really trying to pull his heel down and get out of his position, then it's going to open up some striking opportunities for me. Again, we have a guy who's athletic. Fine. Let's make him use his athleticism. Let's make him hop around. Let's make him pull that leg in. He's just trying to get back to where his base is good. In that time, I'm thinking about potential attacks. So one more time. Trying to get into my PDA position, do the force. So here, and he's either trying to, maybe he limp legs out. That puts us in cage channel territory. And that's something we've talked about in the previous drill. So I want to highlight, again, partners' contribution to this. A good training partner is about the best thing that you can have. Someone who's got similar interests, similar skill level, similar physical attributes is something that you want to find to successfully train. Because drilling is the cornerstone of your development. It's how you're going to get better. Faster learning curve, less injury, being able to drill techniques with somebody that you trust. For this drill, it's pretty obvious what he needs to do. He needs to put his foot in the right place. He can't just be a fish. He can't just be, he's in PDA on me, just kind of hanging out. It needs to be realistic. This guy, if he's going to apply this in a sparring session, needs to get realistic feeling, realistic pressures for what he's going to experience in a sparring session. It's going to make that transition to sparring that much more enjoyable, that much easier. And then when you transition from sparring to fighting, again, it just facilitates that whole process in a way that's just, it's more fun. And I would argue that you're going to learn faster.
Doing this and you're going up, like the reason I'm having to face you is because it's like tweaking my knee. You know what I mean? That's why I'm kind of doing this all of a sudden, because when you're lifting it, it's
But a lot of guys are thinking that way. So like, if I go here, if you just drop me that way, now